I'm not going to say it.
Oh, good, because we're live.
Good. Well, no, I was just going to say, like, every time we're doing the sweat and we're talking golf and Louis Oosthuizen comes up, like, we all giggle because we know that Geoff has this odd obsession with him. But Jeff's the first thing he always says is, no, like, seriously, this week, like, all jokes aside, like, Louis Oosthuizen, and he gets into like a serious sell on Louis. And I'm like, you just do this every
I've talked and wrote about Louis so much, like in tweets or whatever, that I've like perfectly spell his name now. It's crazy.
Hey, everybody.
Appearance by the dog. And
yes. Oh, weren't we just talking? Did she jump up on you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a misbehaved animal that is. That's really sad. Mine too are nap time and they're on their new DraftKings
they're
beds.
tired from tearing your house apart, I assume that.
Whatever, dude. All right, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Slate. It's the highest rated edition of the Slate, the most fun you will ever have. Infotainment galore. I'm Emerson Lotzia, Reid Fowler, Geoff Ulrich here. We can get to some PGA Tour as we always do. We are the golf trio here at DK. But we will get started with some NFL. Starting tomorrow night, week 11 kicks off, dudes. It's the Patriots. It's the Patriots on this 4-game win streak here, Mr. Fowler. And also in that 4-game win streak, I believe they're undefeated ATS. So this is a lot, though. This kind of feels like a lot of points to me, right? Like, you're on the road, Thursday night, short week with a rookie quarterback, even though they've been playing well. You think they cover?
You know what's crazy after a win? And I'm sure there's some stats on like Thursday night short weeks on what Bill Belichick has done in his career. But I tweeted this out earlier today that the Patriots are the second best team ATS after a win, and they're covering by 7.2 points. Like, their plus minus differential, right? So it's right there on the number. So like, if you could, like, if this goes down, which I don't think it will, I don't think anyone's going on the Atlanta side, especially with Cordell Patterson. I think it's a game time decision, if I'm not mistaken. Look, if he's not there, right, they're void of Calvin Ridley, and Cordell Patterson was Calvin Ridley's substitute. It was also Mike Davis, and he's the Swiss Army knife. He's their offense along with Kyle Pitts. So if he's not there, Mac Jones is playing really, really well. Like, I bet against the Patriots on Sunday, and I bet against them a couple times, and I've been dead wrong. Jeff's been beating this drama. The Patriots are good, and we have to start listening to Geoff because he's absolutely right. The Patriots, when you take a look at their team, this is not an offense or defense that you want to face right now. They have a lot of good things working. Mac Jones is playing within himself. He's being compared to not just rookies. And Alex Smith mentioned this on the Monday Night Countdown, which I thought was very poignant. He's not being compared to rookies anymore. He's being compared to the entire league, and he's doing well. So if I'm taking a lean on this one, I'll lean Patriots. But look, 47, you get a touchdown. It's a lowish over under. It's a touchdown. Like, you could see some value in that backdoor cover. This is mostly a stay away, but the Patriots would where I'd be leaning towards on this one.
Yeah. What about you, Geoff? Because then I look at the other side of the ball and I'm like, it so much depends, right? Obviously if Cordell Patterson is in there, because as Reid mentioned, he's the Swiss Army knife. He leads the team in rushing yards, receiving touchdowns, overall touchdowns this season. But so much of it depends for me when I'm looking at this on which version of Matt Ryan shows up.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the problem with Atlanta is they stink. I mean, even with Cordell Patterson, like, it's just not good. Like, what phase of the football is Atlanta good in? I mean, they don't run the ball good. That's why they have Patterson, a wide receiver there, because he's just good at catching. They don't rush the quarterback. They don't, their corners have taken a little step up this year. I guess we'll give them a little credit there, but they don't stop the run well. So you look at this and you say, yeah, this is about right. Like, the Patriots should be 7. The reason it's probably a stay away for me too. Like, I'm not really into betting this game. I was really interested in the Patriots at -5.5, but I didn't get on it. And then the news with Patterson came out and it's like, well, it's 7 now. 7 feels right. Like, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to the Patterson news. It's like, oh, now the Patriots should have been 7 to open, right? So now I think we're getting the right number. And you look at last week, like the Miami Ravens game, these Thursday games are just like, it's a short week. if there's any team I trust here, it's probably the Patriots, because Bill Belichick just is, like Reid said, Reid mentioned the thing. His teams don't let down after wins. So I would lean Patriot. Like, if you're asking me, say it's -7, take a side, buddy. I'm taking the Patriots. It's just a pure thing where how are the Falcons necessarily going to get a lead in here and just shut the Patriots down? I think at the very least, the Patriots have a better chance to cover here. And if they don't, it's because it's just a Thursday night ugly game. And the Patriots eke out a short win. But this is mostly a stay away for me at 7. I think the number is pretty much on par with where it should be.
So is this an over tomorrow night? Reid mentioned it kind of has the makings of a possible backdoor cover here. And I know you're Mr. Over.
I am Mr. Over, but I think this one, I think I would rather bet the under here than the cover, the Patriots to cover. Again, like no Patterson. I mean, Matt Ryan, like you mentioned, like, is Matt Ryan just going to recover from that absolute like disaster of a performance against another good defense in 4 days? Typically that just doesn't happen. Like, I just don't see how Atlanta necessarily does well. I think Atlanta's path to winning this game is their defense steps up. They play some ball control on offense, and they just play like really rink and dink and be able to get a few first downs. But I don't see, like, 47 seems very high for an Atlanta Falcons team to cover right here. And if the Patriots are a little bit sloppy because it's a short week too, well, I mean, all of a sudden, I think you get like a 24-7, maybe even like a 2017 game very easily. I was surprised to see this total. I think this is way too high.
Yeah, I think it's also a number like New England games have just launched over in 4 of the past 5.
Yes.
Like Mac Jones coming alive has done everything for this Patriots offense. Matt Ryan, the past 5 games, 3 of them have been around 350 yards. The other 2 have been under 150. So that's that Jekyll and Hyde Matt Ryan, Reid, that we're referring to. Someone said today, I was listening to sports radio here around Boston, which is always fair and very objective. So someone said the Falcons are basically the Jets with just a better quarterback.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, because I think Arthur Smith is one of the better offensive minds. And look, Cordell Patterson, I think, is a prime example. Yeah. I mean, he was on Kubiak, a Kubiak team. He's been on so many different teams, right? And no one has figured out how to use Cordell Patterson effectively. And Arthur Smith comes here, and within 4 weeks, this guy is a elite running back and an elite wide receiver, right? And like, why did it take so long when he's now in his 30s, Cordell Patterson, to be used like this? Right, he's used as a special teams guy. So I think that they're much better coached right now. Robert Salah is fine, but I think the Jets as an organization are a little bit behind the Atlanta Falcons. And I look, the pay, like Boston radio, Patriots homers, they'll always have a thing where like big brother, little brother with the Falcons. Like that's like just innate in their DNA. But I'll going back to the over under. If you take a look at the most run heavy teams in the NFL, it's the 49ers, the Ravens, and the Patriots. And the Patriots run against man, counter, and like they just run on every single type of defensive scheme that there is. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what they do. And the reason why I do like the under as well, not just because of that, is that if you're Belichick and you're coming off a short week and you want to keep your defense, because there have been some injuries, guys have been dinged up a little bit on the defensive side, is I could see this being like a 20-10 game, right?
Yeah.
Like completely, like they just like, especially have Ramondre Stevenson. If Damian Harris is active and he's healthy, I can just see them deploying the same thing San Francisco did, on what was that? Was that Monday or Sunday? I can't even remember.
They played Monday, or against the Rams.
Monday. Yeah. Not the same where like the Falcons are the Rams, but they'll just take the air out of the ball. Mac Jones might have like 20 attempts and go 14 for 20, 225 and 2 touchdowns and call it a night, right? Like that just feels like that. And just let the defense put the pressure on Matt Ryan and have Russell Gage beat you, because you can take Kyle Pitts out if Cordell Patterson's not playing.
Air out of the football. I see what you did there with the Patriots game. Wow. Dude, any player props that you actually like in this one? Doesn't sound like you guys expect like a whole lot to go down. Here's hoping that it is a better game than what we're seeing on paper, because the under has been profitable on Thursday nights this season. You know what I liked? I liked Mac Jones over 5.5 rushing yards. Past few weeks hasn't been like too hot. Last 2 weeks combined, crunching some numbers, check it out. He's had 2 runs for 4 yards. The 2 games prior to that, though, dudes, he's had 7 for 29.
Wow.
And no, hold on. I did like 5 minutes of research. This Falcons defense struggles to keep tabs on quarterbacks. Only 3 teams allow more rushing yards per game to quarterbacks than the Falcons. That's it, folks. Hammer. What is the rushing yards now? 3 now. Oh my God, dude, I'd put the mortgage on that if I could, if I had one.
Talking about Matt Ryans or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones.
He's got 5.5.
Mac Jones over 5.5. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, right. QB rushing props are so fun because it can happen in one play, right? Like,
and Tom Brady's are usually like half a yard. That's what's so fun about it.
Yeah. Like Mac Jones doesn't run at all, but all you need is a break. Like that's the thing though, Emerson, which kind of scares me is that if he does run, the guy's he's not going to try and go for the first down, right? Because they got some pretty viable running backs. So if it's like if it's like 2nd and 6, like I could see him scrambling out for 4 yards and then just hand it off to, whoever is in the backfield. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like probably my favorite of any of these is touchdown score. Like Hunter Henry, all this guy does is score touchdowns.
And last week was a perfect example of that. What do you have, like 15 yards, 16 yards or something?
It was like 3 for 12 for like 2 touchdowns, whatever the hell it was.
No. It was like the tight end for the Vikings. One of the tight ends for the Vikings, I think, had like the same stat line too.
Like this guy, he just gets targeted a bunch in the red zone. You can do the anytime touchdown if you want it, plus 120. Like that's all he does is score touchdowns. And like, if it's going to be run tight end, this is what Belichick wants to do. Got to check if Jonnu Smith, because he was inactive last week. And so that, a lot of that stuff was going to Hunter Henry that could have potentially gone to Jonnu. So check that out. But even when Jonnu's been active, it's been Hunter Henry in the red zone.
Ulrich, what about you, dude?
This is,
is there a prop you like, player prop?
It's a weird game for player props because like you've got Atlanta. They don't have the dominant number 1. Now Patterson might not be out. We don't know how that'll affect things. There's just like, I looked at this game earlier and I'm like trying to think of it again. I think Jacoby Myers, like his props always seem a little bit low to me. And again, they kind of do, like over 4.5 receptions. I'm fine with that, even though it's at minus 150. So you're paying juice for it, but like that's pretty low total in a pretty good matchup here. The Patriots are a team too. They'll pass the ball when they're ahead a little bit. So it's a pretty safe game flow situation for them. But there's no one here that's like this game is just like screams, not boring. It's just kind of middling to the player props. Like there's no one I really want to jump on and get super excited about. I think I would lean over Matt Ryan's player prop in terms of passing. That's one thing that does, like 251.5. The Atlanta is not a good running team. So like right from the get-go, this team should be passing the ball a little bit. And then if the Patriots do what they're supposed to do, which is get ahead, you should see some garbage time here. And Ryan, he's been up and down. So there's not without risk here, but I think at the very least you're getting like this total is a product of last week. Like this is a very low total for a guy who's broken 300 yards multiple times this year. Yeah, he's had some bad games too, but I think you got to lean over on Matt Ryan here in this spot. At the very least, he probably a good chance he'll get there in garbage time. So that was realistically, that's like the one thing I don't want to really put my trust in Matt Ryan here, but I would do it on that over the passing yards. So I think there's multiple ways you can get there. So
Falcons have 4 wins. Ryan's gone for 325 plus here, dudes, in 3 of those. So he is obviously going to be the key. You need him to pile up the stats, even if it takes 40 plus attempts to do it, which he's had 40 plus attempts in 4 games this year.
And to that point, too, I'm with Geoff, is that what has Belichick done now? It was with Brady for the last 2 decades, but the guy gets up 2 scores and just they run the ball. Right. So if they're up 2 scores, right, like whether it be 14, 10, whatever it is, like you're going to have to pass. And if you take a look now, the only thing that kind of scares me is that he's gotten, like, I'm talking about Matt Ryan, 27 attempts, 30 attempts, 21 over his last 3. Like, can he get there on just 30 attempts? Like, he's got to be pretty efficient. And who's he going to pass to?
Yeah, with
like,
Patterson's out, that really hurts that, right?
Yeah. Is it Russell Gage? Is it, Zacchaeus? Like, I don't even know who else is there if it's not
Little Roddy White.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Little Roddy White. Maybe call Julio back. Maybe if he wants to come back for action.
Oh, his hamstring's better all of a sudden.
Yeah, you got that dirty bird going. But like, that's gonna be is like, who's gonna catch it, right? Who's gonna catch those balls out of the backfield, or excuse me, not on the backfield, but on that offense? That's the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about. But yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan
might actually be a better bet for Matt Ryan might be like pass attempts or pass completion,
right?
Because like you said, like, and I even said this off the start, like, I just don't think they're going to be attacking much downfield. So, I think over 21 at completions or over 35 pass attempts. Again, I'm just going to look up here some projections, but I mean, I think I'd be more interested in that. Yeah. Especially the completions. I think 21 and a half does seem pretty low. Again, we're projecting him for like probably over 34 pass attempts. So I think I'd be more interested in that prop than necessarily the yardage, but it does seem just a little bit low with Matt Ryan in this spot. Again, not expecting him to like go nuts or anything, but he's had some really big games. He's played well outside of like just two kind of really like terrible games, and at home, I think he'll probably bounce back and hit the overs in those.
So we're talking about who he's going to be throwing to. How crazy would it be building a showdown lineup without Kyle Pitts, guys? How insane would that be? Because with him being the most gifted and explosive player out there, I feel like that's exactly, and Reid, you've mentioned this multiple times in our show, the one thing that Bill Belichick's really good at is removing the opposing team's like best player. And he is by far the best player out there on offense for this Atlanta team. So if he's successful at doing that, like, is it crazy, Reid, to build a lineup without him in it, a showdown lineup?
Boy, it's not crazy because crazy things happen on Thursday night, right? Yeah. Miami, like we mentioned, Miami beat Baltimore. And before that,
damn defense. Yeah.
But like, I mean, they blitzed the most, I think, of any team in any game Miami did. And when you take a look at their like past 4 games, talking about Baltimore, Miami, Baltimore has outscored them by over 100 points. Right. And so when you take that into consideration of like short week, guys are banged up. I honestly think though, going back to Cordell Patterson, like a lot of the people that I follow on Twitter that, are either MDs or like are in this space of fantasy and like fantasy doctors. We talked to Dr. Seelan Parekh a while ago, right, guys, on the injury shows. A lot of them are saying that they're pretty doubtful on Cordell Patterson because it's like a mid to high ankle sprain. And those things on like regular weeks, you're very doubtful to come back. So on a short week. I don't think he's
just on a short. I'm assuming Patterson doesn't play just because it's a short week, right? Like, I mean, I think Wayne Gallman. Right. I think it's pretty interesting. Wayne Gallman got inserted over Mike Davis too. I was going to bring up Wayne Gallman's touchdown props, but I don't know if I want to bet any Atlanta touchdown props. I think Gallman at plus 300 on the DraftKings Sportsbook was kind of interesting, but probably a better daily fantasy play. I think people will be hesitant to like just get on Gallman because I seriously doubt we're going to get news. It's like, oh, Gallman's starting. Like, it'll probably just be up in the air. People assume Mike Davis will play more, but Gallman is like Mike Davis has looked terrible. I mean, Gallman has definitely like shown some stuff over the last couple of years. He's looked good in backup roles. Again, like, did okay last week, and it was kind of mop up time, but whatever. Just the fact they gave him work over Davis, I'd be okay there. I mean, we'll have to see what the ownership might be and stuff, and if there's any news. But yeah, I think for an Atlanta kind of contrarian move, I mean, might be to put like Gallman even like maybe in the captain spot. I mean, everyone's expecting New England. What's the kind of game this is? I mean, there's no dominant captain here. Like, we don't have like a Derrick Henry on this slate. I mean, it's, we got 2 Patriots running backs who might be splitting carries. We've got a terrible or Matt Ryan coming off a terrible game. Mac Jones, who doesn't, is good, but like it doesn't put up gaudy stats every week. It's a game where someone like Gallman's probably going to pop up and like score a couple touchdowns. It's more likely to be a Patriots running back to do that, but if you want to be really contrarian, I mean, the Falcons running back will be that.
I think I think Geoff's on the right track. Like, this is a game at 47 over under. The Patriots are a 7-point road favorite, which again, we talk about road favorites this year, like, you know, they're hit or miss. But like, I think that the way to do it is either you have to get the right Patriot who's going to score you those touchdowns. And that's hard on the backfield. Like you always want, like you want the home running back that's getting favored by a touchdown or more, right? That's usually the way to go. But because it's the Patriots and we have no idea, the ghost of Rex Burkhead could come back and like get you 15 touchdowns. Like Jonas Gray could come out of retirement and get you 45 touchdowns this game. Who knows, right? Like JJ Taylor could be the featured back. Who knows? We have no idea. So I think I would stay away from that uncertainty, maybe even going on like the Patriots side. And if we think, oh yeah, run, the run heavy, that means then like the Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bournes of the world are going to go unnoticed. And now you're still getting the favorite. You're still getting the, you know, the implied team total, I think is in like the mid-20s. If one of those guys gets you 2 touchdowns, then it could be Hunter Henry. That's where I'd probably go to be contrarian, as opposed to being like, okay, which Atlanta Falcon is going to do it? Could it be Zacchaeus? Because he's been that guy when Julio was out last year. But remember, Calvin Ridley was there last year. So like, there's so much uncertainty. I'd rather bank on, like, I know that offense of the Patriots is good. Why not go there as opposed to trying to figure out Atlanta?
I really like the receiving call and like the passing game call for the Patriots there. I think you're right. I think like Myers or Bourne. Maybe even Hunter Henry, but I prefer Myers. Myers has a more likelihood of seeing like 8 targets or something.
Maybe
I think
Aguilar.
It's a good captain's pick.
Own like Aguilar. I actually like looking at it because I was like, what's going on with Gallman? It does remind me about Dearness Johnson. Like last week, the Patriots did give up big scrimmage yards to him, even if it's in like garbage time. And he's obviously going to be a volume-based play. Right. Depending on what happens with Cordell Patterson, but not as crazy. I just heard Wayne Gallman and it reminded me of having to like plug and play him in a certain games last year. And I hated my life.
He's just like a scrub on whatever team he goes to. He's just like the third string guy. Somehow always gets like a couple starts every year though, you know.
Whatever
like
happened to your boy Coleman that was down there?
He's in the Jets. Always hurt. He's always hurt.
Yeah. Wow. You know what?
Now the mighty have fallen, man.
Oh my God. It was every Sunday. You had like your own special segment because of your weird obsession with Coleman.
I picked him twice as my lock of the week, and then everyone jumped on it. Like, Geoff picks Tevin Coleman every week. Just in love with Tevin Coleman.
I think it was back-to-back weeks. And like that's and like to your credit though, Geoff, like that is like the right spot. Like the process is right. Right spot, the right player, the right offense. Right, like you would think, or like the right position. It
was the San Francisco lead running back. You know, like I wasn't going off on a limb here. Like Kyle Shanahan's like the best run schemer. He just always got hurt, or the other guy always got the touchdowns, and then everyone made fun of me. And then,
you stopped doing it. You gave in. You coward. You're so weak. Stand your ground. You guys want to go? Anything else you want to mention for the showdown? You want to go to Sunday?
Yeah, let's go Sunday.
All right, cool. All right, let's go Sunday. Ulrich, I'll start with you here, dude. So for Sunday, what would be the spread you're most confident in betting?
Okay, so yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, so I have 3 here highlighted. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Do your thing. It's one of those weeks we don't have a lot of. Remember, we had the previous week. There were some big double-digit like spreads in there. This isn't one of them. They're all relatively tight.
Yeah, and some of them have changed. I mean, at the beginning of the week, I really liked Seattle as plus 3 underdogs at home. They're plus 2.5 now. I would almost rather pay up for the 3 if you're going to take them here. But it looks like the market has moved on this. Like Kyler's still not healthy. Seattle's not a terrible team. I mean, they're not great, but like they have Russell Wilson as their quarterback. Arizona hasn't shown us much over the last 4 weeks. Again, not healthy. Defense, eroding a bit last week. I think the Seahawks at plus 3 are just fine. That number has moved. And then the other 2 that I'm still interested in, I think Miami is a little bit of an underrated team right now. Sorry to make you move around a bit there, Reid, but
very good.
I think Miami, they opened at -3, and I'm not shocked to see this has moved to 3.5. This is a team that over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've really improved in the secondary. All their guys are healthy now. Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, their safeties, the rookie safeties are playing good. I feel like the Dolphins could get 3 defensive scores in this game. So I think 3.5, they're being a little bit underrated. And people I just don't think people believe in them yet because they scored so few points last week and it was an ugly game. But that defense basically won the game, and now they get the Jets instead of the Ravens offense. I think this one could be ugly. I think the Dolphins could just put one on them here. This is a team everybody loved at the start of the year, and now just people think they're only worth 3 points against the Jets. I think that's way too small. And then the other one I like the Bengals at -1. I think it's time to start fading the Raiders. I think there's way too much going on in Raiderville. I think, unfortunately, Reid, sorry. But I would happily take the Bengals there at -1 right now.
It was an emotional roller coaster watching this man tweet while he was watching.
You should have seen how many things I deleted.
Yeah, really. It's like one of those things when you're passionate, write an email out, an angry one, respond, and then breathe, let it breathe, and then delete it.
I deleted so many drafts because look, I when you're in our industry, right, you kind of you kind of come back to the middle, right, of your team that you like to watch, but there's still some residual, especially this is what the Raiders do. They get me every single time. They have a win like they did in opening week, and where they beat the Ravens. I forget who it was last year. Might have been Kansas. No, it wasn't Kansas City. It couldn't have been. It was someone good last year. They did the same thing where they came out and they won, and they do this where they get up to their their zenith, and you think, oh yeah. And I even read in my article, I'm like, oh yeah, the Raiders. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is probably silly to think that the Raiders can beat the Chiefs, but I'm just going to do it, right? Because shame on me if I don't. And then obviously what happened on Sunday night was what happened.
You weren't alone. I don't even think people were just it took 10 weeks, but everyone kind of just jumped off the Kansas City bandwagon last week.
It was
and
silly.
Oh yeah, the Raiders are the better team here. I mean,
I will say though, right before I forget this, I will, is that the whole my whole timeline, I'm sure your guys is the same, was that the Chiefs are back. I think that's a bunch of BS.
Okay.
I don't think the Chiefs are back at all. I think everyone has this knee-jerk reaction to start pumping up Mahomes because he's so great.
People want them to be back.
People want them to be good, which is fine. I get that. But that defense is still one of the worst units in the NFL. And if you look at Mahomes, so much of his passing yards of 500, however many, 406, I'd say more than half of it was yards after catch. So bad tackling, bad defensive scheme for the Raiders. The last thing I'll say about the Raiders, and on this game specifically, I think this one is probably stay away because Cincinnati, I also think, is overrated on defense a little bit. And I think this is going to be a shootout. So one of my favorite, I think this is going to be an over by far. I think it's going to be in the the 60s. And I just don't know which side it's going to lean to. The one thing I will say though about the Raiders on the why that scares me in the over is that you saw what Bisaccia did when he was down 20 points. And I tweeted this out in the fourth quarter with 15 minutes left, and he punted away on 4th and 5. That kind of stuff. And especially it can make you angry, right? If you're a fan.
Oh yeah.
But it can also wreck the over. If these guys don't go for it on 4th down, if they don't try and get points, if they're more conservative, that hurts you on the over. Is you want offenses to go for it on 4th and 3. You want them to try and, continue and move the chains when it's negative, whatever, yardage they're on. You want to do that because you want to score those touchdowns. That's the one thing that worries me about the Raiders is that they're not, at least they haven't shown me that they're that type of team. Although Deshaun Jackson will have one more week to prepare, that kind of helps. But yeah, this one's a little bit of a stay away from me.
Dude, what was that? What happened? Did he ever address that? I saw it trending on Twitter. I said, what did he just
at first glance, when you're watching it, it looks like he's running backwards, which part of it was what I think he was doing. And this is Deshaun Jackson, because I had to watch some tape on him before, as I think he was trying to run towards the opposite field, diagonally. But I think he got turned around where it looked like he was going backwards. But that's my whole point, though. Even if he was trying to do that, he's not that player anymore, right? He's not that player who can stop on a dime and then pick it back up and have 4.4 speed to like opposite pylon. That's the only thing I can think of other than this guy was a complete moron and was like going the opposite way when we were like 12 years old. Like, and you forgot which way you're going when you're playing Pee Wee basketball.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Never happened to me. I didn't know if he was trying to dodge like a ghost defender. Maybe he thought someone was there. Dip, dive, dodge.
Maybe. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because that was so stupid.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to go back inside, and he did get turned around. And instead of going just a little bit inside, he went sideways. Realized he was going sideways. Tried to make up for it by juking the guy, and made it look worse.
And he fumbled.
Yeah,
right? Like he just lose yards. He fumbled.
It's such a Deshaun Jackson move. The guy either does like he's either all or nothing. It's either like fantastic or it's just what are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
Bengals 4-1 ATS in their last 5 following a loss too. So they're pretty good at like rebounding, at least recently. So
but
Reid said probably stay away from it.
Yeah. Going into mine, because I think like the Miami one I'm on Geoff with as well. I think Miami at -3, -3.5, wherever it lands. I think it's
going to be
Joe
a
Flacco.
Disgusting game.
I don't know if you mentioned it was Joe Flacco, Geoff. I'm sure you did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And it's Joe Flacco. Yeah. I mean, dear God, man.
Is Mike White hurt, or they're just giving Joe Flacco an opportunity?
He's already in the Hall of Fame. He retired.
They just want to see
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Joe Flacco, Emerson. They just want to see what they
Hey, he's elite. Don't forget, he's elite.
Hey, Super Bowl winner. So I like that.
It's crazy.
It really is the kind of move that just makes you wonder, like, what is like Robert Saleh? Are you really like head coach material here? Like, just
well, he probably doesn't want. Probably doesn't want his best quarterbacks to get hurt against Miami's defense because that's probably what's going to happen to Flacco.
No, he's too busy fighting with Rex Ryan through the media.
That's great.
Right now.
That's great. Rex Ryan
is amazing.
Like, he fell right into his hands, Salah.
He did.
Rex Ryan does.
Just
he fell right into his hands. Yeah. This one to me, guys, Baltimore. It was at -6. Now it's at -5, which I love even more. All the love is going to Justin Fields, which I get. He's playing much better. Coming off the bye, David Montgomery looked nice. There's a little bit more, positive energy around Chicago. Baltimore, like losing in Miami, like this number should probably be closer to a touchdown, in my opinion, for Baltimore. I know they're going on the road. This defense is so aggressive when it comes to blitzes. And what was the last time we saw Justin Fields against an aggressive defense like Tampa Bay? He looked really, really bad. Really bad. So I like the Baltimore side in terms of the defense against Justin Fields. Allen Robinson, I think he had some sort of illness or he was banged up. And I don't know if he practiced today. I think it's something minor, but just something to watch out for. But I think Baltimore in this spot after 10 days to prepare for Chicago, even though Chicago's got the bye week and everything to prepare for the Ravens, I think this is a mismatch. I really like the Ravens at -5.
I'm just looking at the splits for this game on the DK.
Yeah.
It's like the DK Sportsbook. We tweet out splits if you follow like Buchanan and Ned Lowe's accounts. So 62% of the handle on the Bears at +5, but only 38% of the bets. So looks like there's some big bets going in on the Bears at +5. There's actually more bets on the Ravens, but less money. That's interesting.
I think that's a
thought
public.
It was going to be the other way because I kind of agree with you, but I'm probably this is probably a stay away game for me.
Yeah.
I don't trust either of these teams, but I do like Justin Fields. I just don't think the Ravens are.
I don't think they're a great team. No, I don't. But like when you take a look at what they did against Miami, this is more like buying the Ravens on a low. I still think they're a good team.
Yeah.
Right. You're buying Chicago on a high, even though they lost. They covered, a couple of weeks ago, but they lost. And like they're still with the rookie quarterback that is running, but you have a lot of exotic blitzes that are coming from that defense. And Justin Fields, we know, like even though he said in the preseason this is slow, no, it's not, especially not against this Ravens defense. So that's one that I do like. Maybe it comes down because, like you're mentioning, Geoff, maybe this is a wait and see. Maybe it comes down even more. 4 to 4.5, 5 is maybe a dead number. Maybe you want it to come down a little bit more, but that one and my last one that I'm trying to, I think it might come down, maybe not, is Washington getting 3.5. Does anybody believe that Cam Newton is back besides him?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I know Chase Young is not there for Washington. He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
I know this is like this sort of me contradicting myself in that last game. Like you're kind of buying in on Washington being high, but they just beat what was arguably the best team. Not arguably, I think collectively we've all thought that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in the NFL, and they just beat them by double digits. So like Washington getting 3.5, I think the look ahead was like Carolina maybe like giving 1 or something, or like Washington getting 1, and now it's up to 3.5 because Cam Newton is starting. Yeah. Cam Newton looked like an absolute, you know what, last year. He couldn't he was terrible to the ground.
Like I wouldn't have high rushing or turnover free expectations for him this week.
Like 3.5, I think for the Washington football team is fine. I think Taylor Heineke is doing well. I don't believe in Cam in this spot at all.
That it's also his former coach, scheming against him. Like, well, let's not bury that point.
Yeah, but is that a big deal? Does Ron Rivera schemed well against anyone this year? I mean, outside of last week,
has he played many of his former quarterbacks? I don't really know.
Look what he did to Brady. Like, look what he did to that Tampa Bay offense.
I know, but like the whole sample, I don't know. It was a weird game. I admit, like that was a pretty big shock because Washington's defense has been horrendous. I actually buy into Carolina in this spot. It's not even so much Cam. I feel like they just kind of lucked into losing Sam Darnold. And I think Cam is kind of an upgrade for their offense because it's going to be a little bit more conservative. He's going to help them grab a few first downs, up their red zone efficiency overall. And I just don't I think the Washington thing, I'm prepared to just call it a blip. Like, I don't think the defense is much change. And now they don't have Chase Young. I mean, I think the Panthers were the better team coming in. They're pretty solid on defense. They don't allow a ton of yards like per carry. They're getting pressure. Like Taylor Heineke, I have more questions about him, a quarterback, than I do a Cam, to be honest, and just in the offense that they're in. So I think 3.5 is fine. Just looking at the splits on this one, more bets coming in on Washington, more money coming in on Carolina. But I would wait if I was in on Carolina. I think Reid's probably right. I think the sentiment by the end of the week will be with Washington. People will look at this, and I think you'll be able to get Carolina at 3. But I do like the Panthers in the spot. I'm just not a believer in Washington at all.
So I think this is like Geoff. What you're doing is what a lot of people are doing. I think we're taking Cam Newton at his absolute best. We're saying,
yes,
I remember Cam
you can't
Newton
do that anymore. You can't.
Like when he was amazing.
Last year was an example of that.
This guy, this is a new Carolina team, a new scheme. This is a Joe Brady offense. This is Matt Rule and what they're doing. Cam Newton last year, and look, he's got better weapons in Carolina now than he did last year in New England. I think we can all agree about that. But this guy is only going to have been there for 2 weeks. And we're like saying that, he's an upgrade over Sam Darnold. Yeah, he is. But Sam Darnold, if he was like a 1 out of 10, an upgrade at 1.5 out of 10 is like still a 50% increase, but it's still bad. Like Washington, yes, losing Chase Young is going to really hurt, but you still have a lot of solid, parts on that defense. And I do think it matters more in Ron Rivera against Cam Newton, because Cam Newton was like, you were trying to hide the things that he does bad. Ron Rivera knows all of his weaknesses.
Yeah, Geoff.
Right. So I think it matters more from a quarterback coach standpoint when it's not named like Bill Belichick.
All right. Well, let's get some friendly wagering going on here, man.
Sure.
Side, Reid and Emerson, the Boston guys, the Metros, we'll call you guys on Washington. I mean, I don't know.
I like the Carolina.
All right.
Like
I love Brian Burns
with their dog on camera next to me.
I seriously think the loser mails the winner like a dog toy or something for the dog. We all have dogs.
So that means if we lose, Geoff gets 2. Like, do we each get 1?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No. I mean, Geoff will send me 2. Geoff will send you 1, and then if Geoff wins, we'll both send him 1, and Pepper will be spoiled.
That's right.
Got it. All right, let's do it.
Okay, great. Now, what this was about the Panthers Washington game? That's what we're talking about.
In that case,
we're doing over under 5.5 rushing yards for Mac Jones. Okay, all right. Anything fantasy related on Sunday that you guys want to hit on? And any must plays, any fades, anything like that, or you want to get to golf? We got about 6 minutes left in show here, producer Eamon. So Any plays that you're definitely getting after, like a Slate approved pick? Someone's going to make it.
I do like using Cam at quarterback this week. I think that's very viable. If you're not going to go there, like, you're probably paying up for, it does seem like the field's getting on Mahomes. I mean, I'm absolutely fine going to Dak Prescott over Mahomes. You get lower play probably. I mean, I think that play seems to be shockingly like going under the radar a little bit, and I'm not sure why. Maybe everyone's just going to play Zeke or something, but I like that play. Absolutely fine with paying for AJ Dillon. I know he's going to be getting some heat, but it doesn't look like he's going to be approaching like D'Ernest Johnson levels of ownership. So those are two guys like I would be happy to build around. Dak, Cam at quarterback for me, and AJ Dillon. I mean, this guy's could be I think AJ Dillon could be on the verge of becoming like, a pretty big offensive weapon in the vein of like Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry coming up soon.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. He's good for anybody out there who had Jones, but also smart enough to have Dillon on their season-long roster. Like,
I just had Jones and I did not bother with Dillon because that's how I like to roll.
It's all good. What is he? A week or two. It'll be all good. But I'm telling, right? No, maybe. All I know is like the past few weeks, Geoff, he's been eating more and more into Jones's like carries and usage. So even when Jones comes back, like Dillon's not going anywhere.
Probably just going to cut Aaron Jones is what you're saying.
Yeah. So Aaron Jones has had injuries like this in the past, like his knee. And Green Bay is always super conservative with their guys. So this might be like a 3 to 4.
They can be.
They had their bye yet?
No, so that's the thing is their bye is week 12. I think it's week 12, week 13. So their bye is in there, but I think probably like 3 to 4 weeks would probably be my guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it's 3 weeks either.
Because it's Aaron Jones. You're like it's Green Bay does not care about fantasy. They need this guy in the playoffs. Green Bay is probably the best team in the NFC right now.
And if they win this game, they've pretty much sewn up the division too.
Right. So you need him down the stretch. And if you have AJ Dillon, you are not worried right now because yes, Aaron Jones gives you a lot more than what AJ Dillon is from a speed perspective, but from a domination perspective on what a guy like AJ Dillon can do, right, remains to be seen. But what you like about him from a fantasy standpoint is that he doesn't have an AJ Dillon behind him like Aaron Jones did.
Yep.
Right. There's like nobody behind AJ Dillon. Like Kerryon Johnson came in for a workout. Come on, it's Kerryon Johnson. Even if he gets signed, it's Kerryon Johnson. So
easy. All right. You got a strong start?
I think Stefan Diggs is another strong start.
Cool.
Like the Colts defense, a couple of their safeties are on IR. AJ Brown, I also think, coming off that one catch, I think he's absolutely fine at 7,700. So just some other players that, a position that Geoff didn't mention. I think the wide receiver position going up to those guys is fine. And then Jacoby Myers, like if you're giving from a showdown perspective, I really like him.
Sit every Jaguars pass catcher. Everybody.
Yeah. Dan Arnold is an absolute stud, by the way.
I will say this. Props to Geoff. And who was it? It was Buchanan earlier this week. I love how you guys have recognized the greatness of Dan Arnold, the legend of Dan Arnold in Jacksonville. So good stuff.
Well, James O'Shag Hennessy, though. O'Shag Hennessy is coming back. I think he's like that window for him to come back is actually open. So just beware. Jimmy O'Shags.
All right. We'll get some golf here in these closing 2 minutes that we have. Scheffler as the favorite. Is he actually a good bet though, Geoff? Can he win a tournament?
I mean, he can win a tournament. I just like he's not a good bet at plus 1,000. I mean, there's no chance. The odds have come down on a few guys I like. Like I liked Russell Henley earlier in the week. I think he was in the plus 3,500 range. And I liked Alex Noren at plus 3,500 too. Those guys have come down. Those are kind of who I'm targeting in the top. I think Noren is fine at plus 3,000. This is just such a veterans event where we have, we've had long shot winners. Tyler Duncan won here a couple of years ago. Just a guy who just, he can get hot with his irons and putter. And I just have no interest in betting the favorites here. Even my boy Louis. And I won't give you the serious talk about Louis because I know Emerson hates that. But
just people can go back and watch the sweat from this morning.
That's right. That's true.
Or from like a year ago or 6 months ago.
Literally every week that he's played.
I like him. We talked about it earlier in the show. I like Louis in this. I think this is the type of course he can play extremely well at. Par 70 on 2 courses. We've seen Louis play well on 2 different, when the tournament has 2 different courses. Like that's what you need. You need someone like Louis who like is not going to worry about that kind of stuff and just tee to green the you know what out of this tournament. And he putts well. He's like one of the best putters.
Yeah. Feels like Cam Smith is due, no?
It does, but Cam Smith is kind of in that range of like he's at plus 1400. Do we give him the second best chance of winning this tournament? Really? When you have Louis Webb, this is like Webb's tournament.
Yeah.
From that neck of the woods. This is the first time, if you put any weight into those kind of things, this is the first time he's played the RSM Classic.
Yeah, but it has that Sedgefield, that Wyndham RBC heritage type of thing to it, Sony Open, right? But I mean, look at Louis, Webb, Corey, Harris, like all of these guys down to Adam Scott, I'd rather bet, right? I feel much more confident over Scheffler and Smith, even though Scheffler gained like 1,000 strokes tee to green last week. But Geoff, I mean, this is about long shots, right? This tournament.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one like people are like, I have like guys, I have a bunch of guys I like. Like I kind of like Hank Lebioda plus 1,500.
Yeah.
I don't even mind Zach Johnson here. I mean, I know he's played terrible, but like this is just an event where you get hot with the putter. Zach Johnson plays well here every year. He's really big odds, plus 13,000. I don't hate betting Luke List again either, which I'll probably do tonight.
I love that. Dude. So when he's made it to the weekend this season on tour, he's finished inside the top 20 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, he's very good.
So he's just got to get there.
He's just got to learn how to putt. He's just got to get someone else to putt for him, and he'll be fine.
I remember those days.
Yeah. Guys that I'll mention, Danny McCarthy. I liked him last week. He's really good with his putter. He gained strokes, ball striking last week on the weekend. Grayson Sigg, he's a rookie. He's a young guy. I mentioned him at the beginning of the fall swing. I think he's someone that you got to pay attention to. He's got some ties to this area. Henrik Norlander as well. Went to Augusta University, the same college I think Patrick Reid went to and lives in Augusta, Georgia. He's played this tournament well. And then there's Luke List down there. And Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson is another guy that's from this area or has ties. And he just kind of feels like, Geoff, like you were mentioning, this veteran type of Michael Thompson.
He's a really good putter.
Like a 3M Open, Detroit, like it kind of, again, it has that feel to it where someone like Michael Thompson can come out of nowhere and play well. So those are the long shots that I like this week.
All right. I think we got to go. Dude, it's going to be almost 70 degrees here tomorrow. I have to find a way. I have to find a way to get out and play some golf. You're busy tomorrow. I've already asked you.
Yeah. God, this is the last day, like, for the next 8 months where it's going to be this.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when you put it like that, but one day at a time, Potato Chip. Geoff, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be keeping a close eye on that Panthers-Washington game this weekend. What's it again? Washington just has to cover?
Washington needs to win by 50 points. Yep, that's right.
No, we get Washington the points. We get Washington.
Yeah, we get Washington the points.
Right.
Screw you, Ulrich. All right. I love you guys. Thanks, Eamon. Thanks, everybody. TP behind the scenes. Much love. We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow morning on The Sweat. Doodles.